Well, here we go, folks. Hey, Scott U-Haul here with our next version of our virtual coffee chat. I'd like to say thank you to everybody showing up today. And again, you have questions, we have answers. This series on coffee chats was actually generated from you all having questions and sending them in to me in the chat room or sending them to me in the email. So if you have any ideas for future stuff, please send that to me. But today we're going to talk about we're going to have a quick review a little bit on plant-based diets. We talked about that and introduced that last time. And then today we're going to talk about cutting bad carbs and then healthy lunch ideas. But before I get into that, I want to make sure I clarify something. There's really no such thing as a bad carb. It kind of got the moniker because there are certain carbohydrates that can dramatically influence your blood sugar, your insulin, your glucose relationship. And they can cause inflammation. We've talked about that. Oxidative stress, we're going to talk about that. So when we say bad, they're not like you're bad, but they can cause unhealthy things to your long-term health. So I want to make sure I clarify that. But as usual, we got our quarter hour of Wellness Power. We're going to actually review and take a look at a couple of diets and analyze them with the software that I have. And then, as usual, just real quickly, I want to differentiate myself, a doctor of health promotion, between a medical doctor, an MD, and a DO. We both try to help our peeps, but we go about it a little differently. I try to help people by changing lifestyle habits and behavior. And medical doctors, they try to help deal with health issues by prescribing medicine. They do a little bit of lifestyle change, but they rely primarily on tertiary cares, office visits, and pharmaceutical drugs. So we want to try to help everybody. We just go about it a little differently. So again, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat room for them and we'll answer them. And as usual, thank you very much to Kangaroo Coffee for being our sponsor for our virtual coffee chats. It's been a big help. And if you get the chance, stop by there and get yourself a cup of Joe. Now, so we always have our disclaimer. Now, again, we're not talking much about physical fitness today, but if you haven't had an annual physical, please get that done. If you're on the Phil-Long healthcare plan, get your annual physical done. You can do it through our clinics. That's free of charge. And if you get that, we can actually give you a slight reduction on your monthly premium. We call it the wellness benefit for doing that. And if you'd like to know more, please contact me. And I'll tell you about how you can get a little bit of reduction on your premium if you're on our insurance. So with that, let's kind of review real quickly about plant-based diets. We talked about that, and I had mentioned the Mediterranean diet, and the South Beach diet as examples of past diets that have been out there that are based on plant-based diets. But I'm an advocate of that. Trust me, I like red meat, I like animal products, and so it's kind of a struggle, but again, plant-based diets do have some tremendous health benefits, and I'd like to go over those real quick. But a plant-based diet is basically a diet that's made up almost exclusively of plants or the byproducts of plants. So you're talking fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds, legumes, which is a fancy name for beans, nuts, certain oils. Coconut oil is a real good one, great for your skin. Some soy-based products, but not the other product, protein bar, I'm drawing a total blank. Whey protein. No whey protein is part of that because that comes from cheese, actually. Again, minimal use of dairy products, and then also very minimal processing and man-made elements. So artificial sweeteners, additives, things that increase your shelf life. That's really not part of a plant-based diet. One other thing is that about a plant-based diet is that foods are cooked in a little bit different fashion. They're not deep fried in oil and all that, but they're cooked so that you can eat them in the most raw fashion available. For example, you bring the temperature, you boil water, then you put corn in, bring it to temperature and pull it out. That actually adds nutritional benefits instead of just putting the corn in, bringing it to boil and pulling it off when it's convenient. So again, a lot more to plant-based diets. If you'd like more information on that, get a hold of me and we can work on that. But look at the benefits of a plant-based diet. Significant reductions in cardiovascular issues. And heart disease is the #1 cause of death in America. Strokes is #3. But plant-based diets can improve your good cholesterol. That's your HDL, high-density lipoprotein. It can improve or reduce your low density lipoprotein, which is your bad cholesterol. Just by default, almost because you're not eating all the animal fat, your triglycerides can come back into a normal fashion, as well as your glucose. And really what happens is there's a short-lived gas. It's called nitric oxide or nitric oxide. And when you eat certain foods, especially prevalent in plant-based foods, your body makes this gas, and it has a very short life, seconds. And within minutes of eating this food, it disappears. But nitric oxide habitually generated in your blood system, especially your arteries, it helps to allow them to stay elastic, and it really improves your cardiovascular health. It also reduces inflammation. And we had mentioned that now a couple of times. And there's actually a blood test that you can do. It's called cardiac CRP. And you can determine the blood value of the inflammation that's going on in your body. And there's a lot of people that have chronic health issues, but they don't have, blood values, cholesterols and triglycerides out on a function, but they have really high inflammation. So you might want to get that done next time you get a blood test. It's not part of a regular blood evaluation. You'll have to ask for that specifically, but it's a good marker to know. And if your inflammation's high, let's change your diet. Let's do things to improve that. And there's a number of things we can do. And then also it can improve your mental stability and acuity. We're going to talk next week about getting rid of brain fog and foods you can eat to do that. And a plant-based diet is really helpful with that. Now, what exactly are bad carbs and are they bad? I kind of introduced that a little bit, but bad carbs are generally defined as a food product that's man-made, or it's generated from white flour or white sugars, white carbs, if you will. And what they are really is it's a refined sugar. It's a simple sugar that's processed possibly. And when it's in this form, it can cause this big insulin glucose spike that I've talked about. And again, if you've ever eaten a food and then 30 minutes later, you're really tired and sleepy, you've pretty much put yourself into a hypoglycemic state as a result of the food that you're eating. And we want to try to minimize that, because that, again, causes oxidative stress, which is cellular damage. It's free radical damage. I had mentioned that in earlier coffee chats. And that can lead to chronic diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes and obesity, immune system issues. So we want to try to make sure that we eat foods that are good for our body. And then what you can do, and again, a plant-based diet really introduces antioxidants, which are stable elements that when they run into these free radicals, they actually are willing to give up some of their hydrogen molecules to make that free radical stable, so it's no longer a DNA kind of damaging influence in our health. Overeating, for example, causes oxidative stress. Certain types of food, eating animal fats, causes oxidative stress. So we need to be careful of this. And again, I'm not saying don't omit any food, not at all. But, moderation is key. You've heard that many times, and I think with diet, that's effective here. Now, some examples of bad carbs, if you will, are enriched flour products. So almost any kind of bread except 100% whole wheat bread. If it says that, the very first ingredient on the ingredients list, you have a little bit better food product. If there's more than 2 grams of fiber in the serving, that's probably a better food product as far as breads go. But pasta, tortillas, cereals, pizza crust, one of my favorites, bagels, chips, and cakes, all of these are kind of examples of these man-made bad white carbs. And again, I'm not saying omit them, but just, portion size and be cognizant of them, because they can influence your insulin glucose factors with your blood and lead to these chronic illnesses that I've mentioned. Anything with high fructose corn syrup, take a look at this. Here's a 20-ounce Coke, and it's high fructose corn syrup. But I don't know if you can see that. That's 2.5 ounces. That's almost a 1/4 pound of sugar that's in this 20-ounce soft drink if you converted high fructose corn syrup into sugar. So that's an eye-opener. Be careful of that. Fruit juice, sodas, energies, and sports drinks are usually loaded with sugar, candy, and desserts. Low-fat yogurts really aren't that good. Not all yogurts are equal. We're going to see how Greek yogurts can pan out. But condiments, things like barbecue sauce, ketchup, all that has a lot of extra sugar in it. Chocolate milk, one of my favorites, has a lot of extra sugar. So be careful of that. If you need help looking at food labels, I can help you with that too. But let's take a look now. Let's assess a common lunch. We're trying to make healthy lunch with this coffee chat today. But here's a typical example flying by. I'm going down to get me a 1/4 pound cheeseburger deluxe. I got the condiments, medium French fry, large soda, and a small cookie. Now, again, I've got some software that can analyze the diet, and that's where I'm getting this data from. So if you really like to see your nutritional profile, I'd love to do a food analysis on you. It's in confidence. So think about that. But this food has almost 1,600 calories, almost 600 calories in fat, 80% of your daily caloric need if you're a 2,000 calorie a day diet guy. And in this one single meal, you're almost getting your daily's worth of calories. And so you're eating this food kind of like a front loader. You're eating a bunch at one time. And I want people to eat more like a conveyor belt, smaller meals more regularly throughout the day. And that helps manage your blood sugar, your oxidative stress. Overeating causes oxidative stress. It causes inflammation. And again, a body can only respond to how it's treated. And if we push the buttons a little differently, we can get a better result. There's almost a 1/4 pound of additional added sugars just in this meal, very low fiber. You're almost getting your daily allotment of salt in this meal, and not one single vitamin or mineral hits your daily nutritional need on the software that I have. And take a look at this. There's no bacon on this meal. There's no refills on the drink, and we didn't even supersize or get a double. So you can really add up calories quick when you eat a high-fat, animal-based product kind of a meal. Now, here's some healthy lunch ideas, and I'd love for you to stick around and listen to them. But again, don't overeat. I think overeating is one of the single worst things you can do. Get a to-go box, share a meal with somebody. Again, causes that stress. And don't skip lunch. If you skip lunch, you're probably going to go home and have a big dinner. And not eating and then eating a huge meal is a great way to cause chronic disease, cause weight gain, diabetes, among other things. Try to limit the saturated fats in your diet. Again, that's animal products, including dairy. But again, there's other things you can do. White cheeses, you can get better cuts of meats, and a lot to do with that. So I'm not saying omit it. Just be careful and cognizant of that. Look out for salt. Canned foods have a lot of salt in them. Processed foods usually have a lot of salt in them. It helps with shelf life, and it's a preservative, so be careful of that. And if you can, drink a lot of water. Water helps with digestion. If you have problems with bowel movements, constipation, it might be you're not getting enough water in your diet. And fiber. Fiber is a great way to help with your digestion. Get your quality protein, and again, follow that plant-based diet where you can. Fruits and vegetables, legumes, soy, because that's going to ensure you get your phytonutrients. And then those are the nutrients that come from food, where you get your antioxidants and all those goodies. And one last thing is, shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where you're going to get your more wholesome foods instead of the aisles where you're going to get most of your man-made stuff. Now, check this out. Here's a lunch that I'm going to say that I prepped it. If you can meal prep and bring your food in, that is just so awesome instead of flying by or just hoping you get something along the way or you go to the vending machine. But here's an example. I've got 4 large shrimp with lemon and cocktail sauce wrapped in lettuce, half an apple slice, a teaspoon of almond butter to put that in there. We got a 3-bean salad with fat-free vinegar dressing, and an herbal green tea with stevia, which is a vegetable-based artificial sweetener, but it's not man-made. So I would recommend stevia instead of aspartame or some of those other sweeteners in there. And look at the nutritional profile. It's only 424 total calories. I mean, that's a third than what we just ate. Only 48 fat calories, 6% of your need, very low in saturated fat. And here's the thing with shrimp. If you don't like eating red meat, shrimp has all of your essential amino acids. And if you remember, those are the building blocks of protein. You have to get those from your diet. So shrimp is a great alternative to red meat. I would encourage that. It is high in salt. You can see that, 1,400 milligrams of salt. But again, there's no perfect food. Look at you get 25% more fiber. And then again, you got those strawberries covered in Greek yogurt. And if you take a look at Greek yogurt, it's significantly higher in most instances than a Yoplait yogurt or some of those other ones that have a lot of added sugar. So go Greek. and that's not a bad. And check it out. You have 6 nutrients that are completely met. All your essentials: selenium, which is a trace mineral, B6, B12, vitamin C, and pantothenic acid. All you get your daily recommendations just from this one meal. You didn't get anything from the other ones. So take a look at this. Some suggestions for some good foods. You eat fruits in the morning, vegetables in the evening because of the sugar content. And I think it's better to eat a bad food than not eat at all, because then you tend to overeat. So go ahead and have your peanut M&M guy. I'll say that in a Snickers bar might not be too bad. That's a bad food, but I'd rather eat that than not eat. Look out for alcohol. There's a lot of calories in alcohol. Only fat has more calories per gram than alcohol, so be careful of that. Always make sure get good quality protein. And if you're not eating, if you're worried about it and you want to go on that plant-based diet, mix a bean and a grain to meet your essential needs. And let me ask you this. We got a little survey or little questionnaire I'd like to ask you. Which one of the following foods here do you think has the lowest number of calories? A Big Mac from McDonald's, an Arby's beef and cheddar, or 6-inch tuna on white bread from Subway? Which one of those do you think has the least amount of calories? Give you a couple of seconds to fill that out, and we'll see what everybody says. I'll take me a little drink from my kangaroo coffee mug. All right, we got Big Mac, 8%, Arby's beef and cheddar, 57%, and a 6-inch tuna from Subway comes in second place. Oh, A+. Believe it or not, the Arby's beef and cheddar has significantly less calories than either of those other two. And a lot of people eat that tuna from Subway, but it's just loaded with mayonnaise. They put more mayonnaise on there. So watch out for that. Not all healthy foods are all that healthy for you. So there we go. What's that? So here we get. Check out a couple of sections. Oops, let me close that out. We got a couple of fancy foods here that we have. We've got a salmon, bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. We've got a shrimp scampi kind of thing. And then we've got a black bean, avocado, and lettuce wrap that are all great choices. We got these recipes on our Facebook Healthy Habits page. You can check that out. We're actually going to put a link on it with our follow-up survey information tomorrow with you. So I've got a couple comments in the chat. Let's take a look at that. Costco's cooked shrimp is yummy. I got that. Jared did not eat those from Subway. Y'all remember Jared, right? All right, we got a giggle. And then, oh yeah, heavy on the mayo. Be careful of that. Now, again, a beef and cheddar. There's a couple things better on the Arby's thing than a beef and cheddar. But again, just want you to know there's healthy food out there that's not necessarily all that healthy. We've got a lot going on. Packaged salad mixes, those aren't too bad, but be careful if they've got a bunch of dried berries, maybe croutons, and if they have a pre-made salad dressing, be careful of that, but nothing really wrong with that. But make sure that you add other stuff besides lettuce to a salad. Put broccoli in there, put cauliflower in there, put tomatoes, put other stuff in there so you can get a wide range of your nutrient value. So all in all, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We've got some really cool stuff coming up next week. Again, changing behaviors and holding on to them, and more on good food and getting rid of brain fog. So thanks for your time. God bless you, and we'll see you all next week.